Hello, everybody, and welcome to Astrology. We're going to cover J.R.R Tolkien's chart. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I realized this year, going over my book, that I made a monumental mistake in his date of birth, which is not a good thing. But I'm here to rectify that. So, anyone who has bought my book and has his chart there, just contact me. You can direct message me on my website, Astrology, and I'll send you another copy because I changed the chart, not Tolkien's. I took Tolkien's chart out, but I'm here to cover it here because this is one of the mistakes you can make when you do Chinese astrology is for some reason I must have been having an Alzheimer's moment and I forgot that he fell in the year before. Obviously, this happens in January. You forget about the Lunar New Year. And I must have been just going full steam ahead with this and I made a monumental mistake. So I'm going to cover it here. And anyway, I managed to fit his chart into the narrative, which I thought was the case, but of his life that was. But I haven't checked out Tolkien's Planetary Astrology. So anyway, here we are. I've got his Planetary Astrology and J.R.R Chinese Astrology. And for those of you, as usual, if you like this stuff, subscribe, like. I do have a book, Beginner's Guide to Chinese Astrology, and of course I've got a fundamentals course, and I'm going to design a few workshops around this eventually because I love the subject and it's very cool. So we're going to check out Tolkien's chart, and yep. So we'll start with the J.R.R Chinese Astrology. He's a Yangwood Day Master. And obviously we can see the metal, yin metal. He's born in Year of the Rabbit. Everyone knows the years most people are born in. Everyone's familiar with that from a Chinese astrological point of view because it's one of the most popular things talked about, like sun signs in planetary astrology. So anyway, Tolkien's chart. Wow. I mean, and the right one with the correct date of birth, that is this is a very interesting one because he's got a lot of cool stuff in J.R.R Planetary in his J.R.R Chinese Astrology, which is not an easy thing to talk about actually because J.R.R is not that familiar to so many people, and the reason I'm familiar with it is because I'm a practitioner of Chinese medicine and I love astrology, and I decided to study this. And I was fortunate enough to come across a really good mentor who's taught me a lot. Because there's not that much written in books these days, probably more coming out. So, in essence, right, Tolkien's chart follows power element. And the reason why this is, the Yangwood Day Master has a partial metal element combination between the snake and the ox. And plus he's got these metal stems here, right, as well. So there's a lot of metal in the chart. So he follows power element, and power element gives you status recognition out into the world. It can give you a relatively powerful presence out in the world, right? Which makes sense because he's pretty much got Pluto in conjunction to his midheaven here. It's a few degrees off, maybe it's a little wide, and it's retrograding back, but it's up there, right? So having said that, we can see that power gives people the ability to be able to get the recognition they need into the world. And Tolkien's chart follows power. And because there's a lot of Venus in the chart, right? And when we can associate the elements to planets, right? Because Venus rules the metal element. Venus rules creativity, obviously. So it's a very, very creative chart combined with this element of power. And when we look at the interesting theme of Lord of the Rings, really is about the abuse of power and really the shadow of the psyche, which will make sense when we're talking about this archetype of Pluto, really on the midheaven there. But so there's this deep element to Tolkien that I would say would have made him extremely sensitive to power plays, manipulation, and what it actually means to become a powerful person in the essence of, I would say, the male archetype, which he represents quite a lot in those books. When we look at the archetypes of, say, Aragorn, and even a few others in the book, Boromir, Faramir, these kind of things. Yeah, these men in the books exude an extreme essence of power, and in a balanced sense, right? So we can see in his chart, this is it's a big thing, and of course, in Chinese medicine, the power element can give you power, status, and recognition in the world. But I would say the power element for him came in more the second half of his life, because the first half of his life, really, this is like we're using the rabbit, the ox, and the horse. There are it's more like a changing chart, right? And the changing charts are a little bit more difficult to navigate. So I'm not going to go into that. But the second half of his life, wow, he moves into the power element. So, and he has pretty much a lot of elements that come in to air his real, to show that he is going to be successful. Firstly, this Yangwood Daymaster combines with the Yin Earth, and that's combining with his money element. So later on in life, down the road, he's going to be comfortable on that level. In terms, I would say he always would have had an element, because I know he was a teacher, he was a professor, a master of language. And metal element, right, gives you, the metal element are wordsmiths. So they pay attention to the words. Words are really specific. They're extremely, extremely meticulous when it comes to language. The metal element generally rules this kind of thing. And we can look at the metal element in regards to this more similar to, say, air element, if we want to look at it from that point of view. But I don't like kind of comparing those, but just for those to get the gist of it. But they make fantastic wordsmiths. He, of course, no doubt, the snake for him represents his academic star, which makes him obviously switched on. He has brains, clearly. I mean, the guy was a genius, really. So another thing, right, that really stands out for him, because, the yin metal rabbit year he's born in is actually what they call a yin and yang mismatch pillar. And sometimes these yin and yang mismatch pillars can be considered unfavorable. Well, not unfavorable, but maybe a little bit, unlucky, say, in romance or whatever this is. I'm not sure. I don't really know so much about Tolkien's personal life. I know he's married and had about 4 kids, and I think happily married. So anyway, that doesn't indicate these kind of things, because, the Yangwood horse is a red light pillar, which can be a red flag for relationships. But the thing is, with red light pillars, it has to play out through the chart synastry of the other person. So if the other person has the same red light pillar, it's considered extremely unfavorable. But that's a topic for a different time. But what I was going to say is the yin metal rabbit, yin-yang mismatch pillar, actually remedies. So he's got the remedy. There's remedies for these yin and yang mismatch pillars, and he has this in his Daymaster pillar, which is the remedy for the yin metal rabbit is the Yangwood horse, which is extremely, extremely auspicious. Extremely auspicious. And to top it off, the Yangwood horse and the yin metal rabbit is actually a special configuration. And special configurations really make extremely, extremely auspicious in Chinese astrology. And there's so many of these configurations. And they're a little bit hard to obviously navigate and work out, but I've done the study to find out about these. And this is really interesting. So Tolkien's chart, in essence, from that Chinese astrological point of view, definitely is an extremely auspicious chart, and you could see the man would definitely be successful. But obviously, the success came in later in life, right? Which makes sense to him from his. I don't think he released Lord of the Rings until he was, past in his 50s. People can correct me in the comments if that's the case. but I think so. So the later on in life, the money comes in with the money combination, the power, status, and recognition comes in. When we look at his planetary astrology chart, I mean, really, the lord of his chart's Mercury. So it's going to, and his Mercury, where's his Mercury? It's in the 4th house, it's in Capricorn. It's playing out through the 10th house here, up on the midheaven there. So obviously he's going to be a wordsmith yet again. Mercury rules language. And and the midheaven can be journalism. It can be quite another things. I love networking. I love connecting. He has this, Pluto quite close to there, which is going to give him, and Pluto there can give you some fame. It can really give you fame if you're in tune with it. His obviously south node is in connection, which is more of a mercurial house in my opinion, because in essence it generally rules that. Because most houses have that kind of subtone, beginning of the astrological cycle. But his south node's there in Scorpio, and I consider the 3rd house and the 9th house, right, is higher education. So these are the kind of academic kind of houses, so to speak. And his south node's there in Scorpio, giving him some depth, from the past, probably connected to deep psychological kind of work. And having Mercury in the 4th house. The 4th house is like the basement, right? People who's lord of the charts in that house, they like digging into certain subjects. They'll go deep. They definitely will go deep. And another interesting thing about his chart really is a crescent moon phase. And the crescent moon phase really is connected to the lunar principle. And what does he have? He has his moon in Pisces, which has got to be the most imaginative kind of sign you can connect to when it comes to fantasy. And fantasy, obviously, he was the pioneer of these kind of novels, right? I mean, his is the masterworks on that level. So, we can see, I mean, I could go on and on about his chart, but it's fascinating to me how the moon is really, in the crescent phase, the moon is really, really important. And it's at a 0 degrees Pisces. And I forgot to find out what that Sabian symbol was for that, because that would be fascinating to have a look at. But in essence, yeah, I just wanted to rectify that because I did make a mistake in my book. And if anyone out there who has bought it, who I can send them a free copy. And I didn't do his chart again in the book because obviously I had him in a follow output chart, which wasn't correct. So he needed to be under the follow the power element charts, and I had to substitute him. I had to find someone to replace him, and funnily enough, I just kind of threw in Prince Charles, which I kind of really didn't want to do, but it was the kind of best example I could find, just to get people the understanding of the basic breakdown of these charts. But this is Tolkien's chart in a nutshell. Brilliant man, and I love all his work. I think it's absolutely monumental, and so I just wanted to honor and do this chart. And please contact me if you have questions about this. Thanks, guys. I haven't done a video for a while, so I'm trying to get back on the bandwagon. I've been more on Instagram for those who want to follow more about Chinese astro and all these kind of things. I do quite a few lives on there as well when it comes to astrology. I've kind of jumped over to that platform a little bit more, but I aim to do a few more videos when it comes to all the kind of subjects I've been covering, which is, health, herbs, things like this, esoteric wisdom when it comes to, health treatments, this kind of thing. People have probably seen my Cell Salt series and all this kind of stuff. So I'm looking to mix things up a little bit now, going through a few more charts. So if there's any charts people are very interested in, you can DM me and I am happy to go through them. I'll post them up on my channel. So thanks for listening.